Have you ever opened your pantry, grabbed a can of something you thought was harmless, and then later wondered why you felt so sluggish, bloated, or just plain unwell? Most people over 60 have been told to eat more carefully, but nobody really sits down and tells you that not all canned foods are created equal. Some of them are ticking time bombs for your health, quietly sneaking in dangerous amounts of salt, sugar, chemicals, and preservatives that wear down your body one spoonful at a time. The truth is, while canned food might feel like a quick, budget-friendly, and convenient choice, the wrong cans can slowly steal your energy, damage your heart, and even increase the risks of conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and memory loss. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up canned foods completely. In fact, some of them can actually support your health, keep your heart stronger, your digestion smoother, and your energy levels higher. And today, I want to walk you through the 5 canned foods you should absolutely avoid after 60, and the 5 you should embrace like old friends. This is not just about eating. It's about staying sharp, independent, and full of vitality in your golden years. So lean in, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to toss from your pantry and what to stock up on so your body thanks you every single day. Let's start with a reality check. Canned foods have been around in American kitchens for decades. During World War II, they kept families fed when fresh produce was scarce. They're a symbol of convenience, a quick fix when you don't feel like cooking a meal from scratch. But the food industry learned long ago that the way to keep these cans on shelves indefinitely is to pump them with salt, sugar, and preservatives. And unfortunately, those are the exact things that slowly eat away at your health after 60. Imagine this: you sit down to enjoy a bowl of canned soup. It tastes good, maybe even comforting. But what you might not realize is that just one can could hold nearly a whole day's worth of sodium. That sodium raises your blood pressure, makes your heart work harder, and even affects your brain over time. The same goes for canned meats, which are loaded with chemicals like nitrates that are linked to cancer risks. It's not about scaring you. It's about arming you with knowledge so you can make smarter choices. Now, let's talk about the first food you should never touch: canned soup. I know this one might sting because soup feels like the ultimate comfort food, especially on a cold day. But canned soups are notorious for hiding mountains of sodium. For older adults, high sodium is one of the fastest ways to increase the risk of stroke, kidney damage, and heart problems. You may think, well, I'll just have a little. But the truth is, it adds up quickly, especially if you're pairing that soup with crackers or bread. Homemade soup, on the other hand, gives you control. You can load it with fresh vegetables, lean meats, and gentle seasonings that warm your body without straining it. So, when it comes to canned soup, leave it on the shelf. The second canned food you need to avoid is canned meats like Spam, corned beef, or Vienna sausages. These are some of the worst offenders in the canned aisle. Why? Because they're processed within an inch of their lives. They're packed with nitrates, preservatives, and more salt than your body can safely handle. Eating these regularly has been linked to higher cancer risks, heart disease, and even memory issues. For seniors who are already trying to protect their health, this is a gamble you don't want to take. Fresh chicken, turkey, or even frozen lean meats are far better options and don't come with a side of chemicals. Third on the never touch list: canned pasta meals. You know the ones, the ravioli, spaghetti, or macaroni and beef that come swimming in heavy sauces. These may remind you of quick lunches you made for your kids or meals you grabbed when money was tight. But now they're nothing more than a sugar and salt trap. The sauces are often loaded with added sugars, artificial flavors, and unhealthy fats. These meals spike your blood sugar and can contribute to diabetes progression. They don't truly nourish you. They just trick your taste buds into thinking you're satisfied while your body pays the price. The fourth canned food to avoid is canned fruit packed in heavy syrup. Yes, fruit is supposed to be healthy, but when it's floating in sticky syrup, it's more like dessert than nutrition. That syrup is basically liquid sugar, and consuming it daily puts enormous stress on your pancreas and insulin levels. For someone over 60, this accelerates the risk of type 2 diabetes and weight gain. If you want canned fruit, always go for the ones labeled in water or in their own juice. Even better, stick to fresh or frozen fruits when possible. Finally, the fifth canned food to leave behind: canned chili. Now, I know chili is a staple in many American households. But the canned versions are filled with saturated fats, sodium, and preservatives that wreak havoc on your digestion and heart. They're heavy, greasy, and leave you feeling weighed down rather than energized. Making chili from scratch with beans, tomatoes, and lean ground turkey gives you all the flavor without the health risks. So there it is, the 5 canned foods you should never touch after 60. But before you think I'm asking you to give up canned food entirely, let me flip the script, because not all cans are bad. In fact, some are little powerhouses of nutrition that can keep you feeling strong and energized well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. The secret is knowing which ones to choose and why they're so beneficial. The first canned food you should absolutely embrace is canned beans. Black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas. These are nutritional gold. They're packed with fiber, which keeps your digestion moving and helps lower cholesterol. They're also full of plant-based protein that supports your muscles and bones. The only thing you need to do is rinse them under cold water before eating to wash away some of the extra sodium. Add them to salads, soups, or side dishes, and you've got a low-cost, high-impact food that works wonders for your health. The second canned food you should eat daily is canned salmon. Unlike canned tuna, which can sometimes be high in mercury, canned salmon is one of the cleanest and healthiest options out there. It's loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which keep your heart healthy, your brain sharp, and your joints more flexible. It's also rich in vitamin D, which becomes even more important after 60 when your bones need extra support. Mix it with some lemon and herbs, and you've got a quick meal that fuels your body the right way. Third on the must-have list is canned tomatoes. These little red gems are rich in lycopene, an antioxidant that protects your heart and lowers your cancer risk. Cooking actually increases the power of lycopene, which means canned tomatoes often contain even more of it than fresh ones. Use them in sauces, stews, or casseroles, and you're giving your body a natural shield against inflammation and aging. The fourth canned food you should keep in your pantry is canned pumpkin. Not the sugary pie-filling kind, just pure pumpkin. It's full of vitamin A, which supports your vision, your skin, and your immune system. It's also loaded with fiber, helping you stay full longer and keeping your blood sugar levels steady. Stir it into oatmeal, smoothies, or soups, and you've got a nutritional boost that feels like a treat. And finally, the fifth canned food you should eat more often is canned peas. These are underrated, but they're packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber. They support your digestion, help maintain steady energy, and even give your body a plant-based protein source. They're affordable, easy to use, and a great way to add more greens to your meals. When you compare these lists side by side, the difference is clear. The wrong canned foods drain your energy, weaken your heart, and raise your risks. The right canned foods protect your health, keep you independent, and give you the strength to enjoy life fully after 60. It's not about cutting everything out. It's about making smarter swaps. Toss the canned soup and choose canned beans, skip the canned meats, and go for canned salmon. Pass on the syrupy fruit and grab pumpkin instead. These changes may seem small, but over time, they add up to a healthier, stronger, and more vibrant you. Now that we've uncovered the 5 worst canned foods to avoid and the 5 best ones to keep, let's dig deeper into why these choices matter so much after the age of 60. It's not just about taste or convenience anymore. It's about how your body handles what you feed it at this stage of life. You see, when you were younger, your metabolism could handle a little more abuse. You could eat fast food, drink soda, or live on canned chili for a week and bounce back after a good night's sleep. But once you hit your 60s, your body's resilience slows down. Recovery takes longer, your digestive system is more sensitive, and your organs don't appreciate being overworked by poor food choices. That's why the stakes are higher now. Every meal is either adding fuel to your vitality or quietly draining it. Think about your heart. It's been pumping faithfully for 60+ years, beating more than 2 billion times already in your lifetime. The last thing it needs is to push against clogged arteries filled with sodium and saturated fats from canned soups, canned meats, and greasy pasta sauces. Each spoonful of those high sodium foods makes your heart's job harder, increasing the pressure inside your arteries, wearing down the walls, and setting the stage for strokes or heart attacks. On the other hand, when you choose canned salmon or beans, you're giving your heart a break. You're feeding it omega-3 fatty acids, plant-based proteins, and fibers that actually lower cholesterol and ease that burden. That's not just food, it's medicine in disguise. Your brain, too, is shaped by these choices. Studies have shown that diets high in processed, canned meats and sugar-packed fruits are linked to memory loss, brain fog, and even higher risks of dementia. Why? Because chemicals like nitrates and refined sugars increase inflammation in the body, and inflammation is the enemy of brain cells. Imagine tiny sparks of fire burning in your brain every time you eat processed canned food. Over time, those sparks grow, and your brain struggles to function as sharply as it once did. Now flip the picture. Omega-3s from canned salmon, antioxidants from canned tomatoes, and vitamin A from canned pumpkin actually reduce that inflammation, keeping your mind clearer and sharper as you age. That's the difference between forgetting where you left your keys once in a while and struggling with daily memory issues. And let's not forget digestion. After 60, your digestive system slows down. Foods that were once easy to process now linger longer, causing bloating, discomfort, or constipation. The canned pasta meals, loaded with sugar and fats, just sit in your stomach like bricks. Canned chili leaves you with indigestion, but canned beans, peas, and pumpkin, they're rich in fiber, and fiber is your digestive system's best friend. It sweeps through your intestines like a gentle broom, keeping everything moving smoothly and reducing the risk of painful constipation, diverticulosis, or even colon cancer. Here's something most people overlook: energy. So many seniors complain of feeling tired, drained, or sluggish. They think it's just part of aging. But in many cases, it's not age, it's nutrition. When you eat canned foods loaded with preservatives and sugars, your body goes through a roller coaster of spikes and crashes. You feel good for a moment, then suddenly you're ready for a nap. That's not natural aging, that's poor fueling. Switch those cans for the good ones, and you'll be shocked at how much energy you can reclaim. Canned beans and salmon give you steady, sustained fuel. Canned pumpkin balances your blood sugar. Canned tomatoes fight inflammation. Suddenly, you're not dragging yourself through the day. You've got enough energy to walk, garden, travel, or play with your grandkids. Let me share a picture with you. Imagine two kitchens. In the first kitchen, the pantry shelves are stacked with canned soups, spam, syrupy fruits, and those colorful pasta meals in bright cans. The person living here grabs one of these cans for lunch or dinner most days. Their meals are fast, salty, greasy, and filling for the moment, but they feel sluggish afterward. Their blood pressure creeps up. Their doctor prescribes more pills. Their joints ache. They're told to slow down because that's just old age. Now imagine the second kitchen. That pantry holds canned beans, salmon, peas, tomatoes, and pumpkin. The person here rinses the beans, tosses them into a salad with canned salmon, adds canned tomatoes to a homemade stew, stirs pumpkin into their morning oatmeal, and has peas as a side for dinner. These meals are still quick, still affordable, but the difference in how they feel is night and day. Their energy levels are steady. Their heart is healthier. Their doctor is impressed at their blood pressure readings. And they're not just surviving, they're thriving. The only difference is what they chose to put in their shopping cart. That's why I keep repeating. The cans you pick are either helping you build a better future or slowly dismantling your health. It's not dramatic to say that your life expectancy and your quality of life are sitting right there in those little metal containers. Now let's go a little deeper into each of the good choices, because I want you to not just know the names, but really understand why they belong in your daily life. Take beans, for example. They are one of the most perfect foods for seniors. Packed with both soluble and insoluble fiber, they help lower cholesterol and keep your blood sugar stable. That means fewer dangerous spikes and crashes, which is critical if you're managing diabetes or trying to prevent it. They're also loaded with potassium and magnesium, which help regulate blood pressure naturally. And beans are versatile. You can throw them into soups, mash them for spreads, toss them into salads, or even mix them into casseroles. Rinsing them takes just 10 seconds, and suddenly you've got a heart-healthy, digestion-friendly muscle-supporting powerhouse in your meal. Canned salmon deserves its own spotlight too. Omega-3 fatty acids are like oil for your machine. They keep your blood flowing smoothly, reduce inflammation, and protect your joints. Seniors often deal with arthritis, stiffness, and joint pain, but regular intake of omega-3s can ease those symptoms. Plus, salmon is rich in vitamin B12, which helps keep your nerves and blood cells healthy. A deficiency in B12, which is common in older adults, can lead to fatigue, weakness, and even cognitive decline. Eating canned salmon 2 or 3 times a week can help fill that gap. Canned tomatoes, as simple as they sound, are one of the best tools against aging. Lycopene, the antioxidant they contain, is strongly linked to reduced risks of prostate cancer, breast cancer, and heart disease. And because the tomatoes in cans are usually cooked before canning, the lycopene is more bioavailable, meaning your body can absorb and use it better than from raw tomatoes. Think about that. The cooking process that many people criticize is actually boosting your nutrition. That's a win. Pumpkin, on the other hand, is like nature's gift for seniors. Vision problems like macular degeneration or cataracts become more common after 60, but pumpkin's vitamin A content directly supports eye health. A cup of pumpkin gives you more than twice the daily recommended intake of vitamin A, which helps keep your eyes sharp. On top of that, its fiber content keeps you feeling full and prevents overeating, which can help with weight control. And peas, don't underestimate them. They're full of vitamins C, K, and B vitamins, all of which support your immune system and energy production. They're also rich in protein, making them a fantastic plant-based option if you're trying to cut down on red meats. They're gentle on the stomach and can be stirred into almost any dish. So here's the big takeaway. The power isn't in whether something is canned or fresh, it's in what's inside the can. Fresh is always ideal, of course, but canned foods can still be a reliable ally when chosen wisely. The key is making those swaps: beans instead of pasta meals, salmon instead of canned meats, tomatoes instead of chili, pumpkin instead of syrupy fruit, peas instead of processed sides. These swaps alone can transform your health outcomes dramatically. And remember, it's not just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. Nobody wants to live longer if those years are spent in doctors' offices, struggling to walk or forgetting the names of loved ones. But with the right fuel, you can live longer and better, more active, more independent, and more joyful. That's the real goal. At this point, you may be thinking, all right, I understand which cans are hurting me and which cans are helping me, but how do I actually put this into practice in my everyday life? And that's exactly what we're going to cover now. Because knowing is one thing, but doing, that's where the real transformation happens. And I promise you, it doesn't have to be complicated, expensive, or time-consuming. In fact, with just a little shift in your habits, you can go from eating foods that quietly rob you of your energy to foods that build you up and keep you moving strong. Let's start with shopping. The grocery store can be overwhelming, especially when you're on a budget and trying to make healthy choices. But here's a simple rule of thumb when you're in the canned food aisle. Pick up the can and flip it over. Don't just trust the front label, because companies are clever with their words. They'll say things like heart healthy, light, or reduced sodium, but that doesn't mean it's truly safe. Instead, go straight to the nutrition label. Look at the sodium content. For older adults, a safe daily limit is about 500 to 2,000 milligrams. If a single can of soup has 800 to 1,000 milligrams in one serving, and the can says there are 2 servings inside, that means you're eating more than your entire day's allowance in one sitting. That's not a meal. That's a health trap. But if you flip over a can of beans and see 120 milligrams, that's a much safer number, especially since you can rinse them and cut that sodium down even further. The same goes for sugar. Canned fruit and syrup can have more sugar than a candy bar. Look at the grams of sugar on the label. If it's in double digits, especially if high fructose corn syrup is listed in the ingredients, put it back on the shelf. Reach for fruit packed in its own juice, or better yet, plain pumpkin or berries in the frozen aisle. Now let's move into the kitchen. One of the biggest myths is that healthy eating after 60 means bland, boring food. That couldn't be further from the truth. Healthy food can be rich, flavorful, and satisfying. You just need to learn a few tricks. Let's say you love chili. Instead of buying a can, you can make your own with canned beans and canned tomatoes. Add in some onions, garlic, spices, maybe a little ground turkey, and you've got a delicious chili that won't leave you bloated or fatigued. That's how you take control back. Or let's say you want something quick for lunch. Instead of reaching for canned pasta meals, open a can of salmon. Mix it with a little Greek yogurt or olive oil, toss in some herbs and lemon juice, and spread it on whole grain bread or crackers. That's a meal that fuels your heart and brain instead of draining them. You can even use canned pumpkin in sweet or savory dishes. Stir it into oatmeal with cinnamon for a breakfast that keeps you full until lunchtime, or blend it into a soup with canned tomatoes and spices for a warm, hearty dinner. These meals take minutes, not hours, and the difference they make in your energy, your mood, and your health is enormous. Here's another thing to consider: independence. One of the biggest fears many seniors have is losing independence, relying on others for daily tasks, or ending up in assisted living. But what most people don't realize is that diet is one of the biggest factors that determine whether you stay independent or not. Strong muscles, sharp memory, steady energy, all of that comes back to what you're putting into your body. If you fill your cart with canned soups and meats, you're speeding up the decline. If you fill it with beans, salmon, tomatoes, pumpkin, and peas, you're giving yourself the best shot at staying strong and independent for as long as possible. Think about mobility. Every step you take requires energy from your muscles, fuel from your blood sugar, and coordination from your brain. The right canned foods keep all of those systems working together. Beans feed your muscles. Salmon feeds your brain. Pumpkin and peas keep your blood sugar steady. Tomatoes reduce inflammation in your joints. That's how you keep climbing stairs, going on walks, and doing the things you love. Now, I want to share a simple day's meal plan to show you how easy this is. Imagine waking up and having a bowl of oatmeal. You stir in a couple of spoonfuls of canned pumpkin, sprinkle cinnamon, and maybe add a few walnuts. That breakfast gives you fiber, vitamin A, and healthy fats. For lunch, you make a salmon salad with canned salmon, a little olive oil, lemon juice, and a side of greens. That's omega-3s, protein, and vitamins. In the afternoon, if you want a snack, grab a small bowl of canned peas tossed with a touch of olive oil and herbs. That's protein and fiber to keep your energy steady. And for dinner, you cook a homemade chili using canned beans and canned tomatoes, with spices and maybe a little lean turkey. That's a powerhouse meal for your heart and digestion. In one day, you've covered every single must-have canned food, and it didn't take hours in the kitchen or cost a fortune. And this brings us to a very important point: your mindset. Many seniors believe they're too old to change, that their habits are set in stone. But that's just not true. The body is incredibly adaptable, even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Every single positive change you make today creates benefits for tomorrow. It doesn't matter if you've been eating canned meats and soups for decades. If you swap them out now, your body will start thanking you immediately. Blood pressure can lower in weeks. Energy levels can rise in days. Digestion can improve almost overnight. It's never too late to take control, and you don't have to do it all at once. Start small. Replace one bad canned food with one good canned food each week. Maybe this week, skip the canned soup and stock up on beans. Next week, ditch the canned fruit and syrup and grab pumpkin instead. The week after, try swapping out canned meats for canned salmon. Small steps create big changes. Before you know it, your pantry looks different, your meals taste better, and your doctor starts wondering what your secret is. The truth is, food is the most powerful medicine you'll ever take. Pills can help manage symptoms, but food gets to the root of the problem. When you feed your body the right things, you're not just covering up issues. You're preventing them from starting. That's the difference between being reactive and proactive. And after 60, being proactive is everything. Now let's circle back to why canned foods can still be such a blessing when chosen wisely. They're affordable, they last longer, and they're easy to prepare. For seniors living on a budget or with limited energy, that's important. But instead of letting the food companies trick you into filling your cart with cheap, unhealthy cans, you're going to outsmart them. You're going to pick the cans that extend your life instead of shortening it. That's the power you hold. So here's the bottom line. After 60, every food choice you make matters more than ever before. The 5 worst canned foods, soups, meats, pasta meals, syrupy fruit, and chili, are not just empty calories. They're actively harmful. They raise your blood pressure, your blood sugar, and your risk of serious diseases. They rob you of energy, clarity, and independence. On the flip side, the 5 best canned foods, beans, salmon, tomatoes, pumpkin, and peas, are some of the cheapest, easiest, and most effective ways to protect your health. They give you energy, protect your heart and brain, support your digestion, and help you stay independent longer. It really is that simple: keep the good, toss the bad. Now, imagine yourself a year from now. You've made these swaps. You're eating beans, salmon, tomatoes, pumpkin, and peas regularly. You feel stronger. Your clothes fit better. You wake up with more energy. Your doctor reduces your medications. You're able to play with your grandkids, go for walks, and maybe even take that trip you've been dreaming of. That's the future you can create just by changing what's in your pantry. And that's why I want to leave you with this thought. Every time you pick up a can at the store, ask yourself, is this can building me up, or is it tearing me down? If it's one of the bad ones, put it back. If it's one of the good ones, stock up. Those little decisions, made over and over again, shape your health, your independence, and your happiness. So if you've made it this far into the video, I want to thank you. It means you care about your health and you're ready to take action. And I want to encourage you to keep coming back to this channel, because I'll be sharing more practical, life-changing tips like this, things that can make a real difference in how you feel every day. Don't just watch once and disappear. Make this your community, your source of guidance, and your reminder that it's never too late to take control of your health. So stay with me, stay strong, and remember, your pantry can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Choose wisely, live fully, and I'll see you in the next video.